My beautiful plant, can you see? It is, I call it my 中国钱花 because it's called the Chinese money plant. So I kind of just made my own translation there. So my 中国钱花. Sawadee tuk konka. Dajahao. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a collaboration. Woo! The first one on this channel. I just wanted to first give a huge shout out to Anne from Just Random English.
Hi, ako po si Anne. 안녕하세요. Annie예요. Hi, this is Anne from Just Random English.
We are both answering 10 questions for language learners. Hashtag language learning tag. Head over to her channel after you've watched this. Please watch this first. Head over to her channel, hit the subscribe, the likes, the shares, show some love over there. If you want amazing videos about how to learn English, about teaching English, that is the channel you need to subscribe to. So without much further ado, let's just kick off the language learning tag challenge questions list. I don't know, one of them. ฉันพูดได้3ภาษานะคะ
Strictly speaking, I do speak 2 languages. Obviously, I speak Filipino, which is the national language of the Philippines, and I speak English, which is our second official language. As you all know, English is widely spoken in the Philippines. I do speak basic Korean, but I don't want to count it yet. Hopefully after a few years.
ฉันพูดได้ภาษาอังกฤษภาษาจีนและภาษาไทยนะคะ
We're going to exclude Filipino from the list, and I would just have English and Korean. I'll definitely choose Korean. First of all, since I don't have much exposure to the language, so I can't check if I'm doing it right, if I am learning the right words and the right grammar, the correct sentence structure. So yeah, that's one of the struggles of learning Korean, since I don't have someone right now who can teach me.
ฉันคิดว่าภาษาจีนยากมากนะคะเพราะภาษาจีนไม่มีตัวอักษรนะคะ中文有很多汉字汉字很难我觉得你有知道汉字因为在中国他们用汉字他们不用拼音
As for English, this is our second official language, so I easily learned English. Of course, in school we have English from first grade until college, so I easily picked up words and phrases from daily conversations. People would just mix English with Filipino words in their daily conversations. So I think it's easier for me to learn English. And as for Korean, I think it's kind of funny how I started to become interested in the language. So I have this college friend. We lived together when we were in college, and she got interested in Korean. So when I first saw the Korean alphabet, I got interested because it got circles on it. Korean or Hangul makes use of that shape. From then on, I started learning the language by myself. I watched YouTube videos to study the Korean alphabet, and thankfully I learned it after 2 days. Then I started learning how to write in Korean, how to read Korean, and how to speak all by myself. Because back then I didn't have any Korean friends, so my only resource was the internet. I have this Korean friend, she's a Korean teacher. I met her in China and we conducted classes. So I taught her English and she taught me Korean. Here's the thing I want to say to language learners who don't have enough exposure to their target language. Maximize the internet. So I would write songs in Korean, and from there I would pick up, of course, vocabulary words. I also watched Korean dramas, and from there Obviously, I learned Korean words and phrases. So I basically learned the language naturally. I also practice my listening skills.
To learn the different languages, I do different things. Most of my studying with Thai has probably been watching Thai shows and listening to Thai videos and music. And I say videos because it's not always shows. So for example, I'll be on YouTube and I will watch mini lessons or listen to songs, listen to kids shows, anything that kind of really is easy Thai that can hopefully help me to understand a lot more. For both Thai and Chinese, I have a tutor which I use, which has been really beneficial. I think for Chinese, I have a lot of Chinese friends I speak to very regularly compared to Thai. I don't have as many friends who speak Thai that I speak to on a regular basis. So that is something that I am hoping to improve on and increase my speaking exposure in the next year. I learned English because I am English and I was born in England. So I've been learning it since I was, as they say, knee high to a grasshopper. So I don't really remember how I would have learnt it other than like my earliest memories in school itself. So I think in many ways it's probably completely different because it's so different when you're learning something that as a native language compared to as a second or third language, which by the way, it's so wild for me to sit here and think that I can actually speak one fluently, one intermediate and one beginner. It's wild.
I think it's to speak with a native speaker because through this, I can test my own skills. Like I can gauge my vocabulary level, I can test my speaking and listening skills at the same time learn from a person I'm speaking with. So it's fun and challenging at the same time.
我最喜欢看电影学习中文和泰语. My favorite way is definitely watching TV or films because I just find that more interesting. I've always liked watching films and TV shows in my own native language anyway, so it was a really easy transition for me to then just start picking up Chinese and Thai dramas and films, and especially when you find a good drama and you can just binge watch it, I'm here for it.
I think it is to grab every opportunity to learn because I'm always keen about anything in English. For example, whenever I read something in English, I notice every placement of punctuation mark, every verb tense. I also notice the word choice. Whenever I watch English movies, I notice how each word is used naturally. When I watch YouTube videos, I don't just pay attention to the video itself, I also make it sure to read the comments as well. Now that I'm saying this, I did realize how obsessed I am when it comes to English learning, but I think those things helped me a lot. Another thing is to consistently learn and to make sure that you are putting those learnings into practice because otherwise they will be just forgotten. So it is very important to practice speaking, practice writing, and practice reading.
如果我可以告诉你一个东西，我觉得你有练习说话。
I think I'm a logical learner because I love to look for relationships in patterns. For example, when I learn a new word, I always look for word collocations and associations, and that's how I learn. I also ask a lot of questions and I always search for the answers on the internet. By the way, searching your questions on the internet is very helpful since we don't always have a teacher to help us, right? I think I can say that I'm also a solitary learner because I hardly learn when I'm with a group of learners.
I am definitely a visual and audio learner. So I like to see exactly what it is. So for example, kind of like picture association. If you're going to tell me, apon, I want to see an apple.
I think the best advice I can give is to be patient. I have to be honest that learning a language takes years, especially if your target level is the native speaker level. Especially that, it'll take 10 years or maybe more than that. A lot of learners find the easiest and fastest way to master or learn a language, but frankly speaking, there's no such thing. You'll just be frustrated if you see language learning like that. So give yourself ample time, work on it consistently. Even if you don't see evident improvement in the present, you surely will in the future, as long as you don't stop helping yourself.
I think my biggest advice links to the question before that question, and that is to speak as early as you can. Do not be afraid to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes, so just already know that, but don't be afraid to make them. Keep going even when you do make them. For example, with Thai, I'm constantly getting ka wrong. Sometimes I'll go ka instead of ka. Regardless of the mistakes, brush them off, start again, carry on going, do not give up.
I think it was during my 3rd year in high school when we had this play, and one of the characters in Romeo and Juliet was nurse. One of my group mates at that time dressed as a nurse, like a nurse in a hospital. After the play, our teacher told us that that character was not actually a nurse in a hospital, but like a personal female aide. So yeah, I thought it was funny at the same time embarrassing, even though I was not the one who told my groupmate to dress as a nurse, and I was not that person who dressed as a nurse. I still felt embarrassed because I was one of her groupmates and I didn't realize that.
The funniest miscommunication. One story I did have was I was in Singapore, and this was when I was not as confident as I am now with my Chinese. When I was in Chinatown in Singapore and I was trying to buy something for my sister, and it was the guy who ran the store. There was 2 people that ran it, and the one that I was dealing with spoke very little English, and he said that the thing was, I think he said he was like 50钱, and that's what he said, and then I was like 不30, and then because I said that, he thought I was fluent, so he started speaking to me in Chinese, like full on rapid fire, trying to get this sale. And I was with my friend who doesn't speak any Chinese, and I was like,
I have made a terrible mistake. Help!
And she was just like,
you are on your own. No one told you to try and flex the Chinese and you don't know how to back it up.
So then he was like trying to haggle the price. He was like 40, and I was like 20, and he was like 40, I was like 20. And then eventually I think we got down to 30, which is what I said originally, so I was happy. And then as I was going, I was like 谢谢, 再见, 再见. I was sweating at one point, but it all worked out in the end.
Well, I still want to learn Korean. I want to speak Korean comfortably without pausing as I speak. Being able to answer the questions immediately, that's what I want. Of course, it would be great if I reached the native speaker level in Korean, but as of now, I think I should aim for a lower level. Also, I'd like to speak French and Spanish. As for Spanish, as you all know, or some of you might know already, Filipino is greatly influenced by Spanish language. So I think for me to be able to appreciate and learn more about my language, I should learn Spanish, and both Spanish and French are cool languages, and they bring a different kind of vibe whenever I hear them.
Ooh! ฉันอยากเรียนภาษาเกาหลีนะคะทำไม我听说韩语和中文差不多，所以我觉得如果我可以学习韩语，我学习很快。
And those are all my responses. I hope you learned something from me. Again, don't stop learning. You can do it. Fighting. All right, and that's it. Again, I am Anne from Just Random English. Bye. 안녕.
So that brings me to the end of my video. If there are any questions that you have for a language learner, drop them down below and we'll make a part 2. Also, why don't you answer the questions that I answered down below, share your answers. As I said before, please do visit Anne from Just Random English channel, smash her subscribe button, smash my subscribe button, join both of our channels. And as this brings us to the end, there is only, as you already know, one thing left to say, and that is have a blessed day, and until next time, Sawadee tuk kong ka. Zaijian. Goodbye everyone.